perspective is a key word there. As that looming trial date of court dates gets closer, parties really put their needs and wants into perspective, which is what allows more room for a settlement on common ground.
That's a much more positive perspective than I was taking.
Welcome to Business Ninjas, brought to you by WriteForMe, where you'll hear from business leaders who are out there growing their business and slaying it every day. Learn from the masters. Let's get started.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Business Ninjas. I'm here today with Joy Jackson, partner and CEO at Faber Brand. Joy, how are you today?
I'm wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, appreciate you spending some time with us on Business Ninjas. Please tell us a bit about yourself and about Faber Brand.
I am an attorney located pretty much in the middle of the country, Columbia, Missouri, which is where Faber Brand is headquartered. Happened to find this amazing company about 20 years ago. However, Faber Brand has been in business much longer than that. We are a creditors' rights collection law firm that services 9 different states in the country and have about 120 employees and just enjoying life, enjoying business, and enjoying serving others.
Excellent. So how long has Faber Brand been in business? What's their origin story?
Faber Brand started actually in the 80s with Steve Faber, who was running a solo law practice. It was going well, and he said to his brother, "Why don't you come help me out?" That was the brand side. So he came in and they formed Faber Brand in the mid-1990s. Never thought it would go anywhere beyond the two of them, but other exceptional people came on board and they started to see that they had something bigger than themselves. And Faber Brand began growing state by state, attorney by attorney, employee by employee, client by client. They began servicing companies in our industry in some unique ways that other firms weren't. And it's been thriving ever since.
Excellent. And tell us a little bit about more about your practice and what sort of law you do and what services you provide for your clients.
So a lot of law firms in our industry, and it is actually a shrinking industry. There's a lot of compliance and regulatory laws that are hard or expensive for firms to keep up with. Naturally, you do have some firms that did not find others to have a succession plan. And so as they want to retire, their firms are closing. Some, of course, with any business, you've got the risk of money mismanagement. That happens at times too. So in this shrinking industry, many of our firms actually have a collection agency side, and they're not just a law firm. Whereas Faber Brand, we are just a law firm. So that is one way that we are different in servicing our creditors. There's been some other unique things in the past. One of the things that we like to enjoy telling stories about are to travel to the various states that we go to service our clients. We actually had our attorneys became pilots, and we owned a Cessna. And so if you had an attorney on the other side of your case who said, well, you're, 500 miles away, you're not going to come down and try this case tomorrow. You're like, yeah, I'm just going to hop on my plane and I'll be there. And they're like, okay, let's settle.
Now that's unique. And are those 9 states, are they sort of in a radius away from Missouri? Are they scattered? What 9 states are you serving?
So it's a very interesting line. It goes almost coast to coast, except it leaves off California. So we start in Nevada, we've got Arizona, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, Kentucky, Alabama, kind of off by itself. It's the only one that doesn't touch. And then we also have Virginia.
Oh, so you're in my state of Virginia as well.
Yes.
I don't think I've ever heard of lawyers that get in their own plane to go try a case day by day. That's a unique proposition.
It's been, though, back before the day of Uber, it was kind of interesting to hitchhike a ride from the local airport to the local courthouse. We have stories of attorneys who are riding in the back of farmers' trucks in their suits, getting a ride back with their witness. It
must be an interesting accounting on the bill when you're done with a case and you run into the court. What verticals are you servicing? Who are your clients?
So our clients range for anywhere from universities, banks, hospitals. I mean, it's amazing how much not only the law impacts each of our lives on a, multiple times throughout our day, but same thing with creditors. I mean, almost anybody that you're interacting with is a creditor, including you yourself are often can be a creditor. So we service all creditors of all kinds, and that makes the job fun. I believe that's another thing that's unique just about being a creditor's rights attorney, is that I get to dabble. Our cases will end up touching on divorce and family law, bankruptcy. Sometimes we're in federal court for that, malpractice, other tort claims. And so it really runs the gamut that it keeps it exciting. And I really enjoy it.
Excellent. Well, you're not bored.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of attorneys too, another way that it's different, a lot of attorneys are going to court in the same small geographical region, dealing with the same players, who's playing judge today, who's playing this side, and who's playing that side. And with our practice, not only are we practicing in all of these states, but, through the entire state. So, the vibe that you get and the experience you get in a courtroom in a city versus a rural community is very different. I enjoy interacting with all of those persons.
And do most of these cases end up in court, or are they last minute settlements like a lot of things in this scenario?
No, many of them resolve. A lot of times so many times there's common ground there. You may think that one party is way over here on the side of the spectrum and one party is way over here, but it really just requires talking and listening and problem solving. And so when you put those ingredients together, you have a big chance of success. It does happen at the last minute sometimes because people like to procrastinate, but many cases are able to be resolved sometimes at the beginning of the case when they realize that there is going to be a lawsuit that ensues. Sometimes it's a trickle throughout the course of the case, and then many times it does settle before an upcoming court date or trial or hearing. Sometimes it settles at the hearing.
Well, I not to talk in broad strokes, but it seems like it's a financial game of chicken. When somebody's suing a larger entity, that larger entity thinks, oh, we can milk this so long that that person can't sustain the legal bills to get to the finish line. So we can sort of leverage a settlement that's more in our favor near the end of that's a non-lawyer's perspective on how things go.
Well, I think perspective is a key word there. As that looming trial date or court dates gets closer, parties really put their needs and wants into perspective, which is what allows more room for a settlement on common ground.
That's a much more positive perspective than I was taking. What are the most common problems you're solving for your clients?
Oh, goodness. The most common problems, one of them is, people complain a lot about attorneys and lack of communication from their attorneys, but I'm going to flip that around too. A lot of times when our clients are suing someone they have a conflict with, they've had trouble receiving the communication about what the conflict is, why they disagree with the contract or the bill or whatever is the nature of the underlying lawsuit. And so being able to facilitate good, valuable communication so that you can actually get to the root of the matter to solve the problem, and then being creative to solve the problem. Really, I love what I do because so many times most of the time I'm able to walk away with parties having a mutually beneficial resolution. And sometimes that you have to be creative to get there, and you really have to listen to the other side's needs to do that.
Other than having Cessnas at your disposal, what differentiates Faber and Brand from your competitors?
One of the other things that differentiates Faber and Brand is the way that we interact and approach others that are on the other side of our case. Like I said, we really care about treating them with respect, listening to them, and making efforts to communicate with them so that we can resolve the matter, not only for our client, but also for them. That is such an important aspect to our practice when I began in this industry, honestly, it was a lot of rough and tumble men that did not want to talk to the other people that they were suing. And so it was very different when I came in and was willing to listen and talk to people. I often would have people I was suing trying to hire me as an attorney afterwards. But that value has spread throughout our firm. And it doesn't go unnoticed. The judges notice, the courts notice, and all that then has this rolling effect for not only our firm, but then also for our clients of giving us grace when we need it and knowing that we're abiding by standards that they approve of.
Well, I mean, it sounds like you have more of a mediator mentality than just attack. And that's nice that sounds far more constructive than I hear regularly.
There's a time and a place for everything. And there's a time to play hardball and attack. And there's a time to not communicate. But most of the time, it's something else in the middle.
Well, I assume full disclosure when you get into finances is pretty personal for a lot of people. And it's an onion you got to peel and hope that you're being given all the information you need to try a case properly.
And with that, you're spot on. Not only is it personal, but it becomes very emotional. When you're talking about finances, it can be an emotional aspect too, and that deserves to be treated with care.
Well, hey, I appreciate that someone of your heart and mind is in your space. Switch gears for a minute. COVID was a very challenging time for a lot of businesses. Tell me about the challenges and opportunities of trying to sustain and grow Faber and Brand through COVID.
Oh, what a fascinating time to live through and to talk about and to try to run a business during, with our particular circumstances. We had clients who cared about their customers, even if they were in lawsuits with them, and they halted and paused a lot of their current cases and stopped sending cases to attorneys like myself or like our firm. And in addition to that, we also have courts that entirely shut down. So even if you had a case, you may have been prohibited from bringing it to fruition or filing in some cases. New cases, it really cases that should have been over within a year, drug on for 3 to 4 years. Trying to get cases back onto the court dockets was a nightmare because they had such a volume to deal with and a backlog to deal with. And then you had all the financial constraints that this caused. So you're having trouble with having business placed. You're having trouble being able to bring your current business to fruition so that you can make money off of it. And you're having to send employees home. We very quickly learned who are our key staff that need to be in the office and who can work from home. And we learned very quickly that people can work from home. That was something that we didn't do as a law firm before. I love certain things that came out of COVID, and that's one of them. The ability to have our employees have a better work-life balance. And still be able to get the job done and know that they can do that was a wonderful. Now if we have a snow day, we don't have to play a last minute guessing game and people have to figure out what they do with childcare care. We can say there are 3 inches of snow coming, but it's okay because you can work from home tomorrow if you choose to do so. That's a game changer. That really made our business evolve. And now there are occasions where we even hire entirely remote employees because we know it's possible.
Excellent. On the legal front, was there a push towards settlement in that time when the courts were closed, or people just sort of kicked the can down the calendar?
People froze up and kicked the can. People really put everything on pause, their lives and the work for the most part. Very little movement, very slow movement. It was really a matter of just doing maybe what was right in front of you. And that in part allowed us to be able to function with just a limited staff in the office too. So you have to be grateful for some of that.
All right, let's switch gears to put your marketing hat on. It's an era where you got to tell your story. People want to know why they should do business with you. What role has content played in the growth of Faber and Brand?
Content is so important, so valuable. People want to know who they're doing business with, what the personalities of the individuals that make up a company, what their values are. Are they going to work hard for you? Are they going to work hard for you as your attorney? And one of the ways that you communicate these messages is through content, right? I mean, this is how you reach and communicate with your clients or potential clients.
That's our language right there, right? No, we have not completely returned to in-person visits. People aren't across the desk getting that true sense of who you are and your expertise, and you need to tell them and show them, right?
Right.
All right. Look down the road a year from now. What are some things you'd like to be celebrating personally and professionally?
Well, I'd like to be celebrating continued growth. Our firm is continuing to grow. In fact, because of that, it makes it feel exciting. Even after 20 years, I think we'll grow into those other areas that I spoke about before, geographically, bringing on more employees, including more attorneys, and growing with our current client base, as well as adding in additional clients. I would like to celebrate that we're still in business after all of these years, that we have clients that I feel are happier than ever, that we're able to provide for and care for our employees and our families. And, life is good when you can do those things.
Excellent. Please tell us, what's your URL? Where can people find Faber and Brand, and what social media outlets do you use as well?
We're at faberandbrand.com, and we are on LinkedIn and Twitter.
Excellent. Joy Jackson at Faber and Brand, thank you for spending some time with us on Business Ninjas. All the best to you and yours, and continued success at Faber and Brand.
Thank you so much for having me today.
My pleasure. Be well.